Female prisoner number 701, Scorpion. Movie review. Right, okay, so yeah, here's the thing. This is part of my scripted movie review series, in which I've decided to kind of go through the blog archives, in which I've been reviewing movies for years now, and just kind of see if I can transfer some of these to YouTube, kind of make a YouTube video of them for whatever interest it may or may not have. I'm trying to do this completely, like not skipping anything, just kind of going methodically through all my old reviews. It's a personality defect. I'm a completist. Bugs me if I leave something out. Yeah, but I'll be honest, this is a movie that I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I saw. But here I am, right? So, why did I see this movie? I was living in Japan at the time, and around this point, I was getting to the point where I could put in a Japanese movie and understand about half of it, or some of it, or most of it, I guess, depending on the movie. So it was good language practice for me, and I was trying to get into watching more Japanese movies. I'd been, up until this point, whenever I go to the video store or DVD store, I'd always rent American movies. This is from a few years ago, so it's back when these DVD stores were still around. I don't know, actually. I haven't been to Japan in years. Maybe they're still around to this day in Japan. I know in America they've gone out of fashion. Anyways, I'd always rent American DVDs because, you know, after like a long day at work, you want to just relax and unwind with something that's not going to make you work linguistically. But I've been trying to get into more Japanese movies, and I was interested in the older stuff, just because, I don't know, I've always been interested in older stuff. Bit of a history buff. Also been a bit of a classic film buff. I was interested in kind of the style and aesthetic of older films, and there's some interesting style and aesthetic going on in Japanese films of the 60s and 70s. So, I was in the video store in Japan, and I was in the classic film section, and this film was there. Now, just to be clear, this film was, it's an exploitation film. It can probably safely be classified as an exploitation film, but it was not in the back of the video store behind the curtain. Like, I'm not reviewing straight up pornography here. This is an exploitation film, but it's not, it wasn't in the back of the video store behind the curtain. It was in the classic film section in the Japanese video store. And I recognized it a little bit. This was shortly after Kill Bill had come out. And Quentin Tarantino, during all the hype for those Kill Bill movies, he'd been talking a lot about his influences on kind of various, interviews that you could read online. And he'd been referencing these Japanese revenge exploitation films that had come out during the 70s. In particular, there was an actress named Meiko Kaji. Was that her name? I think Meiko Kaji, who had been in a number of these films that had been kind of one of the influences for Kill Bill. And this film in particular, the title song was called Urami Bushi, I think, which was sung by Meiko Kaji herself and was used on the Kill Bill 2 soundtrack. So there was that Tarantino connection. And so I was interested and curious, and I rented it. Right, so the story is about a woman who is betrayed by her lover. Her lover is an undercover cop. And then she ends up in prison, where she's brutalized both by the fellow prisoners and the prison guards. She toughs it out. She escapes, and then she takes revenge on her tormentors. So just on that description alone, you can tell this is kind of a sexploitation movie. But it's interesting. Somebody put a lot of work into doing this. This isn't just like they were doing this as cheaply as possible to make a quick buck. Somebody was really interested in the art of this movie. And I mean, don't take my word for it. I think most of the reviews of this movie have said, wow, this is really sick and twisted, but there's an artistic element going on here. Yeah, I mean, you can look up other reviews. So there's unique kind of art house-like camera angles where they're twisting the camera to go for like a certain angle. The lighting is very unique. There's lots of kind of quick zoom-ins and close-ups against kind of jarring music, which is, I think, you know, a technique Tarantino has kind of taken for some of his movies. Speaking of another Tarantino influence, the kind of fake blood in this movie. It reminds me a lot of the fake blood in like a Kill Bill movie. And it's a women's prison movie, right? So a women's prison movie, what do you expect? You expect women in shower scenes, gawking guards, some lesbianism thrown in there. And if you just stop there, it would probably be harmless enough. Or maybe not, depending on kind of your view of, right, I guess that's a controversy, right? If you're more conservative, you take issue with that. I would be tempted to dismiss it as harmless enough if it stopped there. But it doesn't. What's really disturbing about this movie is the sadism. Sadism or sadism? How do you pronounce it? But there's like a lot of brutalization elements mixed in here, where there's a lot of scenes of like women getting beaten, and like the way the camera is lingering on it. Yeah, there seems to be some sort of fetish going on here with beating women. And I thought, geez, what am I watching? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is a fetish for some people out there somewhere. It's interesting that this movie went on to spawn a number of sequels. Like this is the first in the whole series. I've not seen any of the rest of them. According to reviews, the second movie in the series, the one that's a direct sequel to this one, is even more praised for its art, like its camera angles, its lighting, its kind of interesting angles. But yeah, what an interesting series of movies to invest so much artistic effort into. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's a cultural thing. Yeah, there are some elements here that does seem like you've got this really tough heroine who is kind of going against all odds, which would maybe be female empowerment type thing. Like there's things that are reminiscent of Cool Hand Luke, where like the guards are making her dig holes and then fill them back up again, which I think was also in the movie Cool Hand Luke. And just like the character in Cool Hand Luke, the guards throw everything they can at her, and she just perseveres, toughs it out. They never get her in the end, and then she finally escapes and gets her vengeance. But yeah, just the other elements of the movie are not, I don't know. So, a very strange little movie. I don't think I'd recommend this one.